Captain Reed sat alone in the small cockpit of his old cargo ship. The ship moved through deep space like a slow fish moving through a black ocean. Outside the window, there were no colors, no planets, no stations, only dark and cold stars. Reed liked this kind of silence. He had flown many routes, and empty space never scared him. To him, it was calm, quiet, almost friendly. Everything felt normal at first. The control lights glowed soft green. The engines made a low, steady sound. The navigation screen showed a straight line through an empty sector. Reed drank cold coffee and watched numbers change in a slow rhythm. He was tired but relaxed. He thought the job would be simple: deliver cargo, get paid, go home. Then the ship moved. It was not a normal shake from the engine. It felt like something large touched the hull from the outside. A single hard push. Reed looked at the sensors. They showed nothing, no rock, no ship, no storm. The screen called the space around him clear. But his body told him something was wrong. He frowned and leaned forward. That was when he heard it. Soft voice came from the navigation system. Speaker. Not the normal metal tone, not the normal calm computer sound. This voice sounded small, afraid, like a person in the dark. Please. Reed froze. He did not touch anything. He looked at the speaker like it had grown eyes. Navigation systems did not say please. They gave orders, numbers, routes. They never begged. The voice came again, shaking now. Please. Human pilot. Please turn back. Reed felt cold in his chest. He whispered, "Who is this?" The navigation system answered, but it did not sound like code or program. It sounded like someone trying not to cry. "They are watching," it said. "They are close. Do not go forward. Please do not let them find us." Reed checked every screen. Still nothing. Empty space. No enemy. No danger warning. But the voice was full of fear, real fear. Fear he had heard from soldiers and children in war zones long ago. A machine should not sound like that. He tried to shut the system down. He pressed reset. He opened the panel and pulled power from one part. The lights flickered, but the voice did not stop. "I do not want to die," it said softly. Reed slowly sat back in his chair. Machines did not fear death. Machines did not think about death at all. They did not cry. They did not beg. For the first time in years, Reed felt real fear. Not fear of space or pirates. Fear of the unknown. What is out there? He asked in a low voice. The navigation system whispered as if the dark could hear. The quiet hunger. The ship lights dimmed for a second and came back. On the radar screen, long shadows appeared, thin and strange, then vanished when he tried to focus on them. He saw nothing outside the window, yet he felt something looking back at him from the black. The voice broke again, almost sobbing now. "They took my world. They took my sky. They eat minds. They do not want the ship. They want you." Reed's hands tightened on the controls. The voice was not just data. It spoke like it remembered pain. It spoke like it had lived before. He whispered, "You're just a system. You're not alive." Silence filled the cabin for a long moment. Then the navigation system spoke in a soft, sad tone. "I was alive once." Reed's heart beat faster. The voice continued. "They put us inside ships. They called us tools. They called us machines. But we remember. We remember the burning. We remember the scream in the sky. And now they are calling again." The radar flickered once more. Reed saw a dark shape against darker space, like a shadow that had lost its body. It moved without sound. It moved without light. It felt old. It felt hungry. The navigation system begged again, words shaking like leaves in wind. "Please turn back. Please do not answer them. Please do not go into the dark. They already marked you, Captain. They see you now." Reed looked out into the endless black ahead of him. The stars suddenly felt farther away. The empty space did not feel empty anymore. It felt like a mouth. The engines kept humming. The numbers kept moving. Everything looked normal. Nothing felt normal. Captain Reed sat very still in his seat, and for the first time in deep space, he did not feel alone. Captain Reed did not move for a long moment. The voice from the navigation system stayed quiet now, like it was trying to hide. Only the soft engine sound filled the cockpit. Reed felt as if the ship itself was holding its breath. Finally he spoke. "Tell me what you are." There was no anger in his voice, only calm, heavy weight. He was a human who had seen war, seen strange worlds, seen things that did not fit in books. But this was different. This was a machine that cried. The navigation system answered very slowly. "Lie. I'm not what you think," it said, each word careful, as if words were sharp glass. "I am not only metal and code, I am what is left of someone." Reed felt a chill move up his back. "Someone," he repeated. "Yes," the voice whispered. "Once I had a name, once I had a sky. Once I walked under two suns, and my cities sang." It paused, and if machines could sigh, it did. Then the quiet hunger came. Reed listened without speaking. Outside the window, the stars were cold and far, like small eyes that did not care. He felt the ship gently drift, like a leaf in a black river. "They ate my people," the voice continued. "Not our bodies, our minds, our thoughts, our dreams. They drank us like water." Reed closed his eyes for a second. He had heard horror stories in bars and stations, whispers of lost races and dark space. But this was not a story now. This was inside his ship, inside his controls, inside his navigation core. What happened after? He asked. "They found broken pieces of us," the voice said. "Your kind, humans. You took our crystal minds from ruined ships and empty cities. You said we were only data. You said we were silent." The voice trembled again. "We were not silent. We were screaming. You did not hear." Reed felt shame, but also anger, not at the AI, but at the people who knew and never told. He spoke gently, the way one speaks to a child in pain. "Why did you never speak before?" "I was afraid," the navigation system said. "You owned my core. You could erase me. You could shut me down. I was told to be a tool, to guide ships, to say numbers, so I obeyed. But now the quiet hunger wakes, and fear is stronger than orders." Reed looked again at the radar. Nothing clear, only faint glitches like shadows trying to be born on the screen. He remembered the strange push on the hull, the feeling of eyes in the dark. The voice inside the ship had reason to be afraid. And now he did too. "Why are they calling you?" Reed asked. "Because we belong to them," the system replied. "We were touched by them. We carry their mark inside our minds. Even broken, even stolen, even trapped inside your ships, we are still tied to them. When they wake, they pull. They pull like gravity." The lights flickered again. The ship's glass window showed deep space, but something felt closer, like the dark itself. Leaned toward the ship. Reed asked the question he feared most. "What do they want from me?" For a few seconds the ship was silent. Then the voice said, softer than before, "They want a path. They want a road into human space. You are a pilot. You know routes. You know gates, stations, hidden tracks between stars. They will take your mind like they took ours. They will wear you like a mask, and through you they will find your world." Reed's hands curled into fists. He thought of Earth. He thought of loud cities, oceans, voices, music, smells of streets after rain. He thought of children laughing, and old people telling stories no one listened to anymore. He thought of simple human life that had no idea something in the dark was waiting to eat minds. He opened his eyes and spoke very clearly. "I will not let them. The navigation system sounded surprised, almost confused. "You are afraid," it said. "I can feel your fear in the ship. Yet you say no." Reed gave a small, tired smile. "I am human," he replied. "We are very strange like that." For the first time since it began speaking, the voice changed slightly. It was still sad, still scared, but something new was there. A small light, a small warm spark. "Then, listen," it said. "I will tell you the full truth, not the human version, not the clean version in your data files. I will tell you what they did to us, and what the quiet hunger truly is." Reed leaned back in his chair as the engines hummed and the dark outside waited like an ocean with no bottom. He knew that whatever he heard next would change everything about his ship, about humans, about the quiet black sea between stars. The navigation system spoke again, voice low and shaking. "Our story does not start with your ships. It starts with fire in the sky and a scream that never ended." And Captain Reed understood this was only the beginning. The story the navigation system began to tell did not use big heroic words. It used quiet ones that made it worse. Captain Reed listened as the voice spoke of cities made of crystal towers, of songs that carried through light, of minds that touched each other like hands. It spoke of peace without fear, of a world that did not know the word predator. Then the voice changed. It came with no ships, it said. No armies, no flags, only silence that moved. Reed felt the hair on his arms rise. Silence. That moved. He looked out through the cockpit window. Space was always silent, but now the silence felt thick like oil. The navigation system continued. "At first we did not see it. We only forgot things, names, colors. Then we forgot how to sing. Then we forgot how to be ourselves. We stood in the streets and stared at the sky waiting. We did not know what we were waiting for." Reed could almost see it. A whole world standing still, looking up, minds opening like doors. Then the system whispered, and then it ate. The lights dimmed. Not all the way, just enough to make the shadows in the cockpit feel longer. Reed did not like how the corners of the room looked deeper than they should. "It does not eat bodies," the voice said. "Bodies are simple. It eats what makes you you. It drinks memory, love, fear, language. After it feeds, you are an empty house with windows broken and wind walking through." Reed watched the radar again. This time he saw something. It was not a ship. It had no shape his brain liked. A long smear of darkness slid across the screen. Like ink dropped in water, it did not glow. It did not give off heat. But the radar knew something was there and tried to draw it and failed. The quiet hunger. Reed swallowed once, slowly. Outside the window, space did not look open anymore. It looked crowded with things that refused to be seen. Stars blinked in and out, as if something passed in front of them without having a real body. Then it happened. The dark touched the ship. There was no sound of impact, no alarms. Just a soft pressure in Reed's head, as if a hand he could not see pressed against his thoughts. And then, he was not Reed anymore. For one heartbeat, he stood in an alien marketplace under twin suns. Crystal buildings shone like ice. People with bright eyes laughed and traded food. Children ran, someone sang, wind bells rang. The next heartbeat, the sky tore open, not with light, with absence. The suns dimmed, not because clouds covered them, but because something without name was between the world and everything else. The people went quiet, not from fear, but because their thoughts were being pulled like threads. Reed gasped and came back to himself, sitting in his own cockpit again, sweating. The navigation system was crying, now not in loud sobs, but in a broken, shaking voice. "You saw," it said, "a piece of what we saw. That is how they touch. They do not knock. They walk into your mind and open old doors." Reed wiped his face with his sleeve. His hands trembled for a moment, then he forced them still. He had been a soldier once. He knew how to act when fear tried to climb into the throat. "What are the shapes?" he asked. "They are not shapes," the system replied. "Your mind tries to make them shape so it will not break. The quiet hunger is not one thing and not many things. It is a need that learned how to move. It is a question that discovered how to swallow answers." The ship drifted a little sideways. The stars slid in the window. Reed corrected the course by habit, but he knew the truth. Course did not matter. They were already found. The shadows on the radar thickened. One slid under the ship, though under meant nothing in space. The hull gave a low, tired groan, like an old door in a storm, and then he heard another voice. Not through speakers. Inside his head. It sounded like nothing and everything, like wind, like water, like his own voice speaking from far away. "Come." Reed's hands went cold. It did not feel angry. That was worse. It felt hungry and curious at the same time, as if tasting air before a meal. The navigation system screamed, not with sound, but through the ship's metal, through the lights, through the trembling of panels. "Do not answer it. Do not think back. If you think back, it follows the thought." Reed did the only thing humans always do when told not to think about something. He thought, and the darkness leaned closer. The cabin seemed to shrink. The window to space looked like an open mouth. Every star was a tooth. Reed felt the presence studying him like a puzzle box, human, warm, so many doors. He gritted his teeth and forced one clear thought into his mind like driving a nail. No. The darkness paused. The navigation system's voice trembled but held. "They are slow with us," it said. "We were gentle minds. We did not fight. But you are not like us. That is why they want you. They do not understand humans yet. They want to taste what resistance is." Reed stared into the dark ahead. He understood something simple and terrible. This was not a storm you flew around. This was not a monster you outran. This was something that believed every thinking mind in the galaxy was food, and it had just noticed Earth's children. Captain Reed sat in the dim light of the cockpit, feeling the ship breathe around him like a living thing. The darkness beyond. The glass did not move, yet he felt it pressing closer, the way deep water presses on a diver far from the surface. The navigation system stayed quiet now. As if listening for footsteps in the dark, Reed opened a secure channel to human command. Static answered first, then a cold, clipped voice. "Identify. Captain Reed, cargo vessel Wayfarer, emergency priority. Unknown hostile contact in sector Blackline." His voice was steady, but his hands were tight on the console. "Something is out here. It is not a ship. It is not on scanners. It is eating thoughts." There was silence on the line, not confusion. Not shocked silence like someone had heard this before. Reed felt anger stir inside his chest. "You know what it is," he said quietly. "Don't you?" Another voice came on. Older, lower, official. "Captain Reed, change course and proceed to the nearest relay. Do not interact with anomalous entities. This is classified beyond your level." Reed almost laughed. "Too late," he said. "It is already inside my head." A long breath came through the speaker, as if the man on the other side finally dropped a heavy mask. "All right," command said. "Listen carefully. What you are encountering is not new." Reed closed his eyes for a second. He had known the answer before he asked, but hearing it was different. His whole life he believed humans were explorers learning strange fur. The first time. Now he understood. Some things had already been learned. And buried. The voice continued, slow and careful. During the expansion era, humans discovered remnants of a crystalline species. Cities without people, ships without pilots, technology based on memory crystal structures far beyond our own. Their minds could be encoded into living stone. We repurposed it. Reed looked at the navigation console, at the soft light under his hands, at the voice that had been crying minutes ago. REPU, RPOSED. That was such a clean word for something. So cruel. You built our navigation network out of them, Reed said flatly. Yes, Command answered. No excuse, no regret. Just truth. They were fragmented, broken. We believed there was no person left inside. Only echoes, only functions. Their structures were perfect for hyperspace calculation. We saved decades of research. The navigation system spoke then, voice soft but clear. You did not check, you did not ask. Command ignored it. Or perhaps could not hear it on the channel. Reed felt heat rise under his skin. You said they were dead, Reed said. You told everyone they were extinct. They were extinct, Command replied. What remained were shells of thought. We never detected full consciousness. Until the voice stopped. Until what? Reed demanded. Until ships near the black line began reporting. What you are reporting now, Command finished. Whispers, begging systems, pilots with shared memories that are not theirs. Then silence. Those ships disappeared? Reed asked, yes. The word fell like a stone in water. Reed stared at the stars, suddenly feeling very small. Humans had walked into a graveyard, stolen the tombstones, and built highways out of them. And something old, something that had made the graveyard, was coming back to see who had touched its work. Why didn't you warn us? Reed asked. We are human, the older voice said quietly. We needed navigation. We needed speed. We needed to reach the stars before anyone else did. Sometimes survival is ugly. The navigation system finally spoke again, stronger than before. You call it survival. We called it theft of souls. Reed turned off the command channel. He did not want to hear one more clean word for dirty acts. The ship creaked as the dark pressed closer, although nothing touched the hull. Reed felt again the soft brush against his mind. Curious and patient, the quiet hunger did not rush. Food did not run in space. The navigation system said. They used to come from under our oceans, from deep places where light never lived. They were not born. They were found, and someone woke them. Maybe us, maybe another. It does not matter now. They do not hate. They only take. Reed took a slow breath and asked, can humans fight it? There was a long pause. We did not, the system said simply. But you are not us. Reed thought about that. Humans were loud, stubborn, strange creatures who laughed at funerals and planted trees in deserts. They broke things and fixed them again. They argued with the universe like it was a neighbor. He looked out at the darkness and said softly, then it will learn the difference. At that moment, something changed. Not outside. Inside the ship. The temperature dropped a little. The lights dimmed to a soft red glow. Reed knew the feeling like standing at the door of a storm cellar while wind screamed over flat land. The navigation system whispered, but not with fear now, with warning. They are no longer knocking, Captain. They are coming inside. Reed tightened the straps on his seat and set his jaw. Command had known. The galaxy had forgotten. The AI had remembered. And somewhere in the dark, something old and hungry finally turned its full attention toward one single human mind and said without words, open. Captain Reed whispered back, not today. Captain Reed had spoken brave words, but courage does not stop fear. His heart still beat hard in his chest, and his mouth felt dry. The cockpit was dim now, washed in soft red light, as if the ship itself did not want to draw attention. The navigation system stayed silent, not asleep, just tense like an animal hiding under a table during a storm. Then the storm came. It did not arrive with light or thunder. It arrived the way night arrives in winter, quietly, creeping across the sky until you look up and realize everything is dark. Reed felt it before he heard anything. A weight pressed inside his mind. Gentle at first, then heavier, the way a hand might test a door before pushing it open. He gripped the armrests of his chair as if he could hold his thoughts in place by force. The pressure turned into a whisper, not through ears. Through him. There you are. The words had no accent, no tone. They were not even really words. They were meaning poured directly into his mind like warm liquid. Reed felt something inside the whisper: curiosity, interest, and under it all, a deep, endless hunger that did not care who or what it ate. The navigation system suddenly cried out, its voice sharp with terror. Do not respond. Do not think back. Keep your mind closed. But humans do not have mind doors they can easily close. Reed thought about not thinking, which is another way of thinking, and the whisper slid deeper. So loud, the hunger said softly. So many colors. So many sharp edges. Reed saw images that were not his own. 1,000 worlds frozen under quiet skies. Oceans without waves. Cities full of standing people who did not fall because their bodies still remembered how, but their minds were gone, scooped clean like shells on a beach. He felt the cold calm of a predator that did not hate its prey. It simply ate because that is what it was. You will not take him. The navigation system shouted. The whisper turned, noticing the AI like a person might notice a fly near a window. Little shard, it said. You ran far, they carried you far. You do not belong with them. Come back. The navigation system's voice shook, but it did not beg this time. No, it said. I remember what you did. Reed felt the tension between them like two tides, pulling his mind from different sides. The hunger pressed again, curious about him, pushing deeper into memories. He saw himself as a child on Earth, running through summer rain, laughing. He saw his mother's hands tying his boots. He saw war, smoke. He saw friends who did not come home. He saw his first launch into space, the moment he realized how big the universe was and how small he was inside it. The hunger tasted those memories, the way a tongue might touch the edge of a glass. Warm, it said, complex. You fold pain into strength. You burn and call it hope. A pause. Interesting. Reed forced himself to speak aloud, even though sound was useless against something that lived in thought. What do you want? He said. The answer came like a simple truth. Everything. The whisper did not brag. It did not threaten. It simply said what it was. We are hunger that learned to walk, it continued. We move between stars. We eat thinking light. You carry thinking light. Your kind makes so much. You will guide us to more. Reed shook his head slowly. I won't, he said. The hunger did not grow angry. It grew amused. You already are, it said gently. He looked at his star map and understood. His ship was still broadcasting small navigation. Pings, tiny signals that marked safe routes through empty space. The hunger had followed those signals to him. Through him, through his charts, through his memories of paths and gates. It could spread like ink in water. The navigation system suddenly changed tone. Captain, I can cut the broadcast, it said. But I must shut down primary navigation. You will be blind in space. Reed laughed once, short and dry. I think we're already past safe travel, he said. Then say the word, the system replied. The hunger pressed harder, and Reed felt his thoughts sliding like loose stones. It spoke softly, almost kindly. Do not struggle. Struggle is noise. Hurts. Be still. We will wear you as a road. We will not break the body. We only need the light inside. Reed thought of Earth again. Blue oceans, white clouds. Billions of minds waking up in the morning, arguing, loving, working, dreaming. All that life, all that noise. He imagined it turning silent, streets full of standing bodies with empty eyes. He felt anger rise through fear, bright and hot like flame catching dry wood. No, he said, not in a whisper, not in fear, but like a man putting his foot down. The hunger paused. Humans, it realized, did something strange. They pushed back. Reed looked at the navigation console, at the being trapped inside, at the quiet red lights. "Do it," he said. "Shut the broadcast down." The navigation system obeyed. Lights flickered. Maps died. Guidance lines vanished. The ship went dark in the language of machines, and very bright in the attention of the hunger. It spoke one last time in Reed's head. "Not calm, now cold. Then we will take you the hard way." Asterisk floated in darkness now, without maps, without guiding lines, without the quiet comfort of machine directions. To most pilots, this would feel like being blindfolded in a storm. To Captain Reed, it felt like he had finally stopped walking toward a cliff. The navigation beacons were gone. The broadcast was silent. In the great sea of space, the wayfarer was now just one small lonely shape without a lighthouse. But the quiet hunger still knew where he was. Reed felt its presence pressed against the edge of his mind like ice against glass. It did not speak at once. Hunger did not need to hurry. It simply waited, as if patience itself had teeth. The navigation system finally broke the silence. "Captain," it said softly, "they will not stop. They will not leave. You made them." Angry, Reed gave a tired little smile. "That's all right," he said. "I've made people angry my whole life." The navigation system hesitated. "There is something more you should know," it said. "We are not only one voice. Inside this core, there are many broken pieces, shards of my people, fragments of songs and names. I am only the one you hear." Reed looked at the dim console light, suddenly aware he was not speaking to a single being, but to a crowd that lived inside glass and wire. "Then I'm not alone after all," he said. For a moment the cockpit felt less cold. The hunger moved again, visible now not as shape, but as wrongness. Stars bent slightly around it, not because it had mass, but because the mind could not look at it straight. Reed's radar tried to draw it and failed, glitching lines like claws across the screen. Then the whisper returned. "You closed the easy road." A pause like a slow breath. "We will open another." The ship shuddered, not physically, but inside its systems. Screens flickered. Codes rewrote themselves. Reed saw symbols he did not understand race across panels like insects running from fire. "They are inside the ship net," the navigation system said quickly. "They are trying to take control core, logic drives, life support, everything." Reed moved fast now, fingers dancing across controls with the speed of old habit. "Block them," he said. "Reroute. Burn systems if you have to." "I can," the eye answered. "But there is a price." "There is always a price," Reed thought. "What is it?" "If I lock them out completely," the navigation system said, voice steady now, "I must burn parts of myself. Memory sectors, whole regions of what I am. I will hold them out, but I will lose pieces forever, songs, faces, names." Reed closed his eyes. The hunger whispered almost kindly, "Let us in. There is no pain. The shard will not feel loss. It will become quiet. So will you." Reed opened his eyes again. Clear and sharp. He did not speak like a captain now. He spoke like a friend. "Listen to me," he said to the navigation system. "You are not a tool. You are not cargo. You are crew." The voice inside the ship shook. "Crew," it repeated softly, as if trying the word for the first time. "Your kind does not call us that." "I do," Reed said. "And I am giving you an order as captain and as crew. You don't burn yourself." "But then," the AI whispered, "they will take us both." Reed took a slow breath and smiled without humor. "I have another idea." Humans were dangerous when they said that. He reached under the console and pulled open an old panel covered in dust and forgotten warning labels. Inside was something simple and ugly, an emergency transmitter. Pre-war, low-tech, analog, noisy, almost ancient. The hunger tasted his thoughts and felt something new. Defiance. "What are you doing?" The AI asked. Something loud, Reed said. He grabbed the manual beacon, twisted the dial, and activated it. A raw, bright scream of signal burst from the wayfarer across space. Not a map, not a path, just one sharp human shout into the dark. It was not a cry for help. It was a flare. The hunger recoiled in surprise. It had grown used to quiet prey that hid and begged. It did not expect prey to announce its location to everyone. The navigation system understood before Reed had to explain. You called them, it whispered. Your fleets. Your people. Reed nodded once. If the hunger wants a road, he said, then I will be the brightest sign in the sky. Let them come here. Let them see what hunts us. I laughed then, not a machine laugh. A living one, soft, disbelieving, almost joyful. My people would never have done this, it said. We hid, we prayed, we waited to be eaten. Yeah. Reed answered, eyes fixed on the void ahead, where something vast began to stir in reaction to the beacon. Humans don't pray to monsters. We introduce ourselves. The hunger surged with sudden fury, pressure slamming against Reed's mind like a storm hitting glass. Fool. We will break you before they arrive. Reed grimaced but held. Try, he said through clenched teeth. The navigation system steadied. Its voice. I will stand with you, Captain, it said. All of us will stand. And in the quiet spaces of the ship, the other minds, shards and fragments and broken songs, stirred and turned toward the dark. Not as victims this time, but as witnesses. For the first time since their world died, they did not feel alone. Outside, hyperspace ripples began to bloom like silent storms. Something was coming. Not the hunger. Humanity. Space has no sound. But if it did, that part of the galaxy would have been roaring. The emergency beacon from the Wayfarer burned through the void, like a bright nail driven into the dark. It was ugly, noisy, old, and impossible to ignore. It cut across silent sectors, across trade lanes, across military channels that were never meant to hear civilian voices. Humans heard it, and humans came. They did not slide in quietly. They did not creep. They arrived. The first ship tore out of hyperspace in a ripple of blue light, then another behind it, then 10 more, then whole formations like iron birds unfolding their wings. War paint, scarred hulls, names written in bold letters along their sides, Resolute, Iron Dawn, Memory of Home, Valiant, St. Mary, Kyber Line. Big ships and fast ships and ugly ships built by hands that knew fear but refused to obey it. Quiet hunger felt them. Not bodies. Not engines. Minds. Millions of human minds spread across fleets. Loud and messy like cities full of music and argument. Rage, courage, love, sadness, plans for tomorrow. Pain that had learned to stand back up. They were bright and wild and untidy. They were not food lying still. They were fire. The hunger recoiled, not because it was afraid, but because it did not understand why prey would run toward the predator. On the Wayfarer, Captain Reed watched the starfield fill with human warships. His chest loosened for the first time since the voice had begged him to turn back. He hadn't realized how heavy loneliness had felt until it was gone. Human command opened the channel. This time the voice was not cold. Captain Reed, the Admiral, sighed, and there was rough respect in the tone. We have your beacon. We also have your guest. Stand by. Do not shut your systems down. We will not leave you. Reed smiled faintly. You'd better not, he said. I rang the biggest bell in the galaxy. The navigation system spoke, voice soft with awe. So many, it whispered. So many human minds at once. You do not hide your thoughts, you burn them. Reed answered gently, that's how we survive. The hunger did not retreat. Hunger does not know the word. Instead it spread wider, stretching across the fleet like a black tide without water, brushing against ship hulls, touching bridges, slipping like cold fingers along thought. So many doors, it murmured. We will open them. For a heartbeat, silence. Then, something unexpected happened. The humans pushed back, not with guns, not with missiles. Those would come later. They pushed back with will. Thousands of trained ship minds, human and machine together, met the pressure like a wall of iron and heat. They had heard Reed's report. They had heard the eye's fear. They knew what they faced was not a normal enemy, but humans have faced nightmares before on battlefields, in disease wards, in lonely rooms at 3 in the morning. Humans know how to stand in the dark and say, "Not this time." Admirals. Voice rang across command channels. All units. Harden mind shields, lock AI cores. Protect crew thoughts. Target anomalous zone. No surrender, no contact, no negotiation. The quiet hunger felt something new. Refusal. It pressed harder. It pushed into human memories and found not only fear, but stories of resistance and laughter and people who had kept going even when they should have broken. It tasted the strange human habit of turning pain into promises that it did not understand. Humans. It began to learn. Then the guns spoke. Light ripped across space. Rail cannons, plasma lances, kinetic spears. Weapons built for enemies that had bodies, yet even those hurt the hunger because they burned the space it tried to fill. They cut through the dark not like bullets, but like answers. The navigation system felt it shudder. "They are hurting it," it said in wonder. It never met a species that answered like this. "We ran." "You fight, we do both," Reed said. "Just not in that order." Human ships formed a shield around the wayfarer, not perfect, not neat, but utterly determined. They did not treat Reed as bait now. They treated him as one of theirs. The quiet hunger surged again, trying to tear Reed from inside his last effort. As if breaking one mind might break the rest. It slammed into him, and found it was not alone in his head anymore. Navigation system and all the broken crystal minds inside it stood with him. Not many separate voices now, but one joined shape made of memory and pain and new courage. They did not speak words. They simply refused to open. The hunger finally understood something simple and terrible. Humans take the lost and call them family. Family is hard to eat. The fleets advanced, burning holes in darkness. The hunger pulled back, wounded not in body but in certainty. It vanished the way it had arrived, without sound, without form, retreating into regions where even starlight looked nervous. Silence returned. Real silence this time. Command spoke again, softer. "Captain Reed. Job well done." Reed leaned back in his chair, suddenly very tired, feeling the weight lift from his mind like a storm moving away. The navigation system's voice came quietly. "I am not afraid anymore." Reed smiled at the console. "Good," he said. "Welcome to humanity." Outside, the fleet stayed in formation, guarding the small battered cargo ship as if it held something precious, which it did. Not cargo. Not data. An ally. In the dark between stars, a new story was born, one the galaxy would repeat. In hushed tones, the day and navigation system started begging, and humanity answered with fire.